When she awoke in the late hours of the night, her eyes were not her own. She could see the evil spirit that had overtaken her body clearly hovering above her and cackling maniacally. "So it begins," the demon screeched. "Soon this town will fear me. The humans are all going to die." The spirit swirled around the woman for a moment, taking in the sights of her bedroom before floating down to her mirror and staring at its own reflection. It was the same grin as the woman's, but now there was something wicked behind it. The spirit floated out of the bedroom window, gliding over the quiet town and making its way to the local bar. Inside, a few drunk men sat at the counter. They watched with wide eyes as the apparition glided through the door and took a seat next to them. One of the men asked, "Hey bartender, what's with the ghost?" The bartender shook his head. He knew exactly who the ghost was, but he didn't know why it had come to the bar. "Don't talk to him," the bartender warned. "You don't want to be rude to a ghost, right?" The man scoffed. "It's just a trick of the light. I bet he's not even dead." As soon as he finished speaking, the ghost vanished. All three of the men laughed and went back to their drinks. Meanwhile, the ghost made its way to the outskirts of town, where an old graveyard stood. Many years ago, it had been laid to rest here. Now it was back to cause chaos. As it made its way deeper into the graveyard, the ground began to shake. Tombstones cracked and crumbled. A small army of skeletons emerged from the ground and bowed before the ghost. "My children," it boomed, "tonight we rise again. We'll kill everyone in that town and feast on their souls. Ha ha ha." The skeletons cheered and followed their master as it flew back toward the town. When the first rays of sunlight hit the horizon, the ghost retreated back to its grave. It knew that it couldn't be seen during the day, so it had to wait until nightfall to strike again. Meanwhile, the woman awoke from her nightmare and stumbled out of bed. She was shaken by the dream, but she couldn't remember what it was about. Maybe it was just another side effect of the medication she was taking, she thought. But as the day wore on, the memory of the dream faded from her mind. She had no idea that a demon had taken up residence inside her body. She had found the spirit trapped inside an antique mirror. When she had tried to help it, the demon had used magic to trap her soul inside the mirror and had taken her body for itself. The woman's name was Sarah. Now, whenever she dreamed, she was sent to a desolate wasteland where she was forced to watch as the demon wreaked havoc on the human world. As the evening began, Sarah felt herself being pulled into her dreams once again. She screamed, but no sound came out. She tried to move, but she was paralyzed with fear. She watched as the demon left her mirror and entered her body. The demon smiled wickedly and whispered, "Time to begin my plan," shot out of the bedroom window, and headed toward the bar where it had visited earlier that night. Sarah watched as the demon approached the counter and turned to face the bartender. It opened its mouth and let out a blood-curdling scream. The demon's power was immense. The scream shattered every bottle on the shelf and sent the patrons running for cover. "This is just the beginning," the demon cackled. With that, it vanished. And Sarah found herself falling into the cold abyss of her own mind. The demon made its way through the town, stopping to scare every person it came across. Out. People dropped to their knees and begged for mercy, but the demon showed no pity. It continued its reign of terror until it finally reached the graveyard. There it raised its arms to the sky and roared, "Skeletons, come forth." The ground began to shake, and the skeletons emerged from their graves. The demon raised its hand and pointed toward the town. "Tonight we feast," it commanded. With that, the army of skeletons began to march toward the town, eager to devour the souls of the living. They crept through the streets, their hollow eyes gleaming in the moonlight. The demon led the way, its laughter echoing through the night. At the local police station, a young officer named James was writing up some paperwork when he heard a loud crash outside. He walked over to the window and looked out onto the street. To his horror, he saw a skeleton walking past his cruiser. He quickly grabbed his gun and raced outside. He fired several shots at the skeleton, but they all seemed to go right through it. The skeleton kept walking as if nothing had happened.
Ow.
James ran back to the station and called for backup.
As.
As more officers arrived, they found that the same thing was happening to them.
Oh.
Their bullets were useless against the skeletons.
As.
The demons had somehow become immortal. James watched as the skeletons marched through the town, spreading fear and death in their wake. He knew that they had to stop these creatures somehow, but he didn't know how. Just then, he remembered an old legend about a skeleton key that could banish demons. The key was said to be hidden somewhere in the town, and James was determined to find it. He raced home, where his grandmother kept an old journal filled with local legends. After searching through the book, he found the clue he was looking for. The skeleton key was hidden inside the bell tower of the old church. As dawn approached, the demon sensed the approaching danger and ordered its army to retreat to the graveyard. James wasted no time and raced toward the church. When he arrived, he noticed that the front door was locked, but that didn't stop him. He climbed up the side of the building and made his way to the bell tower. Inside, he found a large chest with a skeleton key sticking out from beneath the lid. He pried the chest open and removed the key. Then he raced back to the graveyard just as the sun began to rise. The demon was waiting for him, and when it saw the key, its eyes flashed with anger. "So you found the key?" it snarled. "But it's too late. I've already corrupted this town. The humans will never escape me now." James held the key high and shouted, "That may be true, but you won't get away that easily." With that, he charged forward and plunged the key into the demon's chest. The demon screamed in pain as the key burned its flesh. It tried to pull it out, but James held on tight. "No," he shouted. "You're finished." With that, he pushed the key deeper into the demon's chest. The demon's body began to smoke and sizzle as the key drained the life out of it. Finally, with a last "I'll be back," the demon's body exploded, sending its soul flying backward into the mirror. As the smoke cleared, James pulled the key out of the demon's chest and dropped it to the ground. He watched as the skeleton army crumbled to dust and disappeared. With the demon gone, the remaining townspeople slowly emerged from their hiding places. They were shaken, but unharmed. When they saw the skeleton key in James's hand, they knew that they had been saved. In the following days, the town slowly returned to normal. But James couldn't help but feel that something was off. He couldn't shake the feeling that the demon would return. As the months passed, the memory of the attack faded from the minds of the townspeople. But for James, it was always there in the back of his mind. One night, he was awakened from a nightmare. In his dream, he had seen the demon rising from the mirror, its eyes filled with hatred. "Next time, human, next time," the demon had hissed. James awoke with a start. He knew that the demon would return, and he was determined to be ready for it. He picked up the skeleton key from his nightstand and clutched it tightly. "Not this time," he whispered. And so James spent his days training for the inevitable battle, practiced using the key, honing his skills and preparing for the day when he would need them. Meanwhile, the demon grew stronger inside the mirror. It waited patiently for its chance to escape. One day, it sensed an opportunity. James had left the house to go to the store, and the demon seized the chance. It shot out of the mirror and into the room. It began to search for the key, but James had hidden it well. So the demon searched everywhere, but it couldn't find the key. In a fit of rage, it smashed the mirror, and with that, its body began to fade away. It had only moments left in this world, and it intended to make the most of them. It lunged toward the window and escaped into the night. When James returned home, he found the mirror shattered on the floor. He knew that the demon had escaped, and he wasted no time in starting the search. He looked everywhere, but the demon was nowhere to be found. Just when he was about to give up hope, he heard a noise in the attic. He climbed the ladder and made his way to the dusty trunk where he kept the key, but the key was gone. Someone had stolen it. James raced back to his truck and slammed the door shut. He had only one chance to stop the demon, and he intended to use it wisely. He drove as fast as he could toward the local church, where he knew the demon must be hiding. When he arrived, he leaped out of the truck and raced up the stairs to the bell tower. He could hear the demon's laughter echoing through the building, and it fueled his determination. He climbed higher and higher until he reached the very top of the tower. There, in the center of the bell, he saw the demon. It was weak and wounded, but it was still dangerous. James raised the key above his head and shouted, "It's over." The demon turned and stared at him, its eyes filled with hatred. "You can't defeat me, human," it hissed. "I am too powerful." He simply charged forward, key raised high. The demon tried to attack him, but James was too quick. He dodged the blow and plunged the key into the demon's chest. The demon screamed in pain as the key burned its flesh. But this time, the key didn't burn away. It stayed inside the demon's chest, burning it alive. The demon thrashed about, trying to free itself from the key's grasp, but it was no use. The key burned hotter and brighter, until finally the demon's body exploded, sending its soul flying back into the mirror. The mirror shattered, and the demon was gone. James collapsed to his knees, exhausted but victorious. He had defeated the demon and saved his town. As the sun rose, the townspeople emerged from their homes, shaken but alive. They looked up at the church tower and saw the broken pieces of the mirror lying at its base. They knew that they had been saved, and they thanked James for his bravery. From that day on, James was known as the hero of the town. He had faced the demon and won. But he knew that the battle was never truly over. As long as there was darkness in the world, there would also be light. As long as there was good, there would also be evil. He had defeated this demon, but he knew that there were others out there waiting for their chance to strike. And he knew that he would be there to stop them.